Welcome back to Unapologetically Visible, the podcast for high achieving Latina and women of color founders who are done being the best kept secret. I'm your host, Christina Olivarez, award winning visibility and leadership coach, TEDx speaker, and founder and CEO of the Social Butterfly Gal and Hustle and Socialize. I coach clients, and I'm also someone who has invested in various modalities of support throughout the decade of my entrepreneurial career. When I first started my business, I thought hiring support meant hiring someone who knew more than me, someone who could tell me exactly what to do, fix my plan, and point me towards success. So in those early years of SBG, every time I hit a wall, every time I felt lost or behind, I would go searching. I would scroll through Instagram late at night, reading every bio that promised clarity, results, or momentum. And I would end up signing contracts with coaches who on paper looked perfect, but sometimes something always felt off because I wasn't just confused about what I needed help with. I was confused about what kind of support I actually needed in that season of life and business. I thought I was hiring a coach, but I was hiring a consultant. Sometimes I needed a mentor, but I ended up with a strategist. And other times I needed a plan when what I really needed was to switch my mindset and my belief system. If you've ever walked away from a coaching container, a mastermind, or a coaching session where you felt unseen or misunderstood and it left you with a scar, I want you to know that it's not because you failed or that coach overpromised, underdelivered. It's because most of us service providers, coaches, students were never taught how to discern between coaching, consulting, mentoring, strategy, training, and advising, or how each one serves in different seasons of our leadership. That's what we're going to talk about today. Because as a coach myself, I use a multitude of these 6 different coaching modalities in my coaching containers, but I also know when my client is asking for one or the other. And once you understand the difference, when you learn how to choose and understand what you actually need, you stop buying support from pressure and you start investing from power. So let's start first with coaching. When I think of coaching, I think about transformation. Coaching is where we excavate beliefs, where we rewire identity, where we deepen our leadership. Coaching, at times, it's not about tactics, but it's all about your truths. Whenever I'm coaching my private one-on-one clients, those high-achieving Latina and women of color leaders who already know what they're doing, but are ready to align who they are with how they lead, I'm not giving them more tactics or more to-dos. I'm holding them through their becoming. Sure, of course, we talk strategy, especially around visibility, but I understand when to go more on the strategic lens versus actually thinking about coaching. And when we talk about being visible for yourself, we know that I'm going to coach you through understanding your nervous system, your boundaries, your joy. I also coach around how to show up in your brand when you're tired of performing and how to speak powerfully without betraying your softness. In coaching, we really focus on how you lead when you're afraid, and especially when you're navigating a challenge. Coaching is about holding space for the version of you that already knows what you're here to do, yet you've just forgotten how powerful you really are. I think about one of my private coaching clients that I've had the honor of coaching. She came to me in one of our coaching sessions really feeling just lost when it came to her voice and how visibly on social media due to all of the strife that is happening in our country right now. And she just felt really powerless when it came to her voice. She said to me, Christina, I know what to post. I know my offers. However, I feel like my voice has flatlined. And what she really meant was I need coaching around how to get it back in touch with my essence and how to strategically map out my voice in my social media. So inside our coaching sessions, we didn't start immediately with building a content strategy. We started first with her capacity. We rebuilt her visibility from the inside out, from her nervous system and her safety to her brand embodiment and her mission and her vision and the why behind everything that she does in her brand. And that is where we really focused on. We got really deep inside of that coaching. And that's where the transformation happened. Within weeks, she wasn't just posting again, but she was radiating. She became the kind of woman who didn't just build a business, she was building her presence. And that's the power of coaching: belief work, leadership work, and identity calibration. Now let's talk about consulting. Consulting is a different type of energy. Consulting is about analysis and direction. It's where someone steps in, looks under the hood of your business, and tells you what exactly is not working and what will. When you hire a consultant, you're saying, I need expert eyes and I need answers now. This is the energy that lives in my intensives. These are the 30-day high focus containers where I step in as your partner in clarity, where we dissect your messaging, your content flow, your visibility strategy, and we fix what's leaking. I think of one of my clients who told me in an intensive, Christina, I'm posting every day, but nothing's converting. So we sat down inside of her intensive and I said, okay, let's look at what you're actually saying and where you're actually visible. I noticed her stories were all about motivation, but none of them were connected to the buyer psychology. Her message was powerful, but it wasn't primed and positioned. So in the intensive, through the consulting lens, I helped her rewrite it. We simplified her messaging, shifted her content from inspirational to more compelling, and crafted a visibility strategy that moved her audience from connection to conversion. 2 weeks later, she signed a $3,000 client off of a single story sequence. That's consulting. It's decisive, directional, data-informed. But it's also really intimate because I'm here with you every step of the way, hand in hand, co-creating solutions alongside of you. Next up is mentoring. Mentorship is about proximity. It's about being in the energy of someone who has lived what you're walking through and where you want to be. When I mentor my clients, I'm not speaking from theory. I'm speaking from my lived experience. I've been the woman who has built her brand from scratch in her 20s while also hosting major conferences way before her 30s, who built visibility on stages and online, and who also hit burnout so deep that she had to rebuild her identity from the ground up. I've been the woman who's chased busy until her body said no, who built survival, and then learned to build from alignment. So when I mentor a client, I'm not saying, here's how to do it like me. I'm saying, here's what I've learned, so you do not have to repeat my mistakes. And here's how to expand into your next level without betraying your joy. That's mentorship. Wisdom through your lived experience. It's the difference between information and embodiment. And that's why my private coaching clients often tell me, I signed up for strategy, but what changed was who I became, because that's mentorship, identity transfer. Now, strategy. By far my favorite, because deep down, I know that I am a strategist through and through. Strategy is the how. It's the blueprint, the plan, the architecture behind your visibility and the brand. I do a lot of strategy in private coaching, but also really in depth in my VIP days. That's where strategy really takes center stage because we spend a good 6 hours together mapping your brand foundation, analyzing your positioning, your story arcs, your offer ecosystem, your content flow. And it's not surface level brainstorming. It's deep CEO level architecture, the type of strategy that I just get so excited for. We look at where your brand is now versus where your leadership wants to go, and we build that bridge. We align your strategy to your energy, your design, and your capacity. But even inside those strategic conversations, I'm still coaching and mentoring. Do you see where I'm getting at? There's a lot of blending in between because I can give you the perfect content plan, but if your nervous system can't hold that visibility, you will not implement it. Strategy without self-trust is useless. You'll overthink, delay it, or talk yourself out of it. That's why I always say strategy is the skeleton, but identity is the heartbeat. Then comes training. This is the more tactical teaching skills. That's what training is. It's about developing your skill set. This is what I do in my monthly power hour sessions. I'm training you on specific topics within my framework, like storytelling for conversion, crafting your personal brand narrative, or visibility ecosystem. But I don't just give you slides and call it a day because I'm not interested in that transactional teaching. I'm interested in your transformation. So even in a power hour, we have 30 minutes of actual training, and then we do 30 minutes of hot seat coaching. I'll usually stop and say, okay, let's talk about how this tactical training, this teaching applies to your real voice. Let's talk about why you freeze when it's time to share your wins, or let's talk about what feels scary when you get on camera and talk to it. That's why my training always loops back to embodiment. And finally, advising. Advising is where I step into the role of a thought partner. It's not coaching, it's not consulting, it's conversation. A lot of the advising happens in my private coaching containers through our WhatsApp daily support chat. I absolutely love the daily support chat because you are connected to me every day during my office hours, where you get my thoughts, wisdom, beliefs, and strategic advisement. Advising is what happens when a client messages inside of our WhatsApp chat and says, Christina, I'm torn. Do I launch this new offer? Should I pause? Should I wait until maybe next quarter? I can start seeing the pattern underneath their question. Because as a generator in human design, I can sense when someone's initiating from pressure versus responding from their alignment. So inside of our WhatsApp chat, I will start strategically advising you. I would tell you, all right, let's slow down. What's the real desire behind this launch? Is it peace or is it proof? That's advising. High level, energetically attuned guidance that comes when someone knows you, your rhythm, your patterns, and can hold a mirror up to your leadership. It's why so many of my clients tell me, Christina, I always come to you for clarity, but what I get is strategic advising, and I absolutely love it. Now, here's the truth. Most of the frustration I see in our industry comes from not knowing the difference between these six. You've probably felt it before. You decided to invest in a course expecting coaching from the coach, but instead it's like 12-step modules, and you have to really take the time to actually sit down and watch all of the modules when it's really just training on a surface level topic. So then you hire a mentor, but then you get a consultant. You sign up for strategy, but you're still carrying emotional exhaustion that no strategy plan can actually fix until you do the work on yourself. That's why you always walk away from investing thinking, maybe I'm not ready, or I don't want to invest in this because I've already had a bad taste in my mouth. But here's the thing, you are ready. You are ready to make that next level investment, especially in who you're becoming. You just haven't been met with the right kind of support for the exact version of you now and who you're becoming. That's why I design my business the way I do. Because each offer is intentionally built to meet women in different stages of their visibility to legacy journey. And inside of coaching, I know how to blend each of these specific modalities, and I know how to give strategic advising or actually give you the training that you need, or even just stop and understand where your nervous system is and do coaching in that transformational lens. Let me break down my offers and how each of these modalities fit inside of them. Private coaching is my top tier cream of the crop. It's where you're going to get all of these in one coaching container. Because private coaching is for the woman who's really ready for that high level support where we recalibrate all parts of yourself and your business, from your identity to your visibility to your leadership and your voice. I use all 6 of these inside of the coaching container, and that's why private coaching in itself is a real long-term container, because of the fact that we are really doing deep transformational work. VIP days are definitely strategy driven. This is for the woman who needs to reset her strategy and align her brand to the next level. So a lot of the work that we are going to do inside of a VIP day is definitely going to be strategy heavy, and a lot of mentoring and advising as well, but mostly strategy. Intensives are for the women that are craving fast clarity, focus to reposition her messaging right now. So this is definitely going to be consulting and advising and a little bit of mentorship as well, but really heavy on the consulting aspect. And my power hours are for the woman who wants that tactical teaching and training on a specific topic. You're looking for that taste of proximity. Maybe you're a little bit nervous about fully investing in one of the main coaching offers, but you kind of want that group support, that deep support, but really wanting a tactical training. Visibility is not a one size fits all, and neither is that type of support. So let's pause here for a mini coaching moment. If you're listening to this and thinking, okay, Christina, but how do I know which one I need? Because you did say right now that you do a lot of these inside of your different offers, or maybe I'm just thinking about what type of support I need right now for the level of my life and my business and the season that I'm in right now. So I want you to ask yourself these 3 questions. What's the real problem I'm trying to solve? Number 2, what kind of support feels safe and expansive right now? Number 3, what kind of woman am I becoming? And who can hold space for me in the becoming? If you're craving a shift in your energy, your beliefs, your voice, you need coaching. If you're craving clarity and direction, you need consulting. If you're craving expansion and proximity, you need mentorship. If you're craving execution, you need strategy. If you're craving new skills, you need training. If you're craving thought partnership, you need advising. And sometimes you need all of the above. None of them are better than the other. They're simply different doors to the same house of your evolution. And here's the thing about women like us. We've been conditioned to think that needing help means weakness, that we should know everything, do everything, and be everything. But the truth is, discernment is the real flex. Power is not doing it all by yourself. It's about knowing what type of support allows you to rise faster, softer, and more rooted. So here's my invitation to you. If you're in a season where your visibility feels off, where your message doesn't quite match who you are becoming, where your confidence is starting to feel shaky, don't just ask, who can help me? Ask, what kind of help do I actually need right here, right now? Because when you invest from discernment, you stop seeking saviors and start choosing mirrors. And that's what proximity with me as your coach is all about. I'm here to walk beside you, to hold you as you become the woman who trusts herself again. If you resonated with this episode, here's what I want you to do next. Subscribe and leave a review, because that helps this podcast reach more women like us, women who were never meant to stay hidden, women who are meant to be highly visible leaders. Share this episode with someone you love who is trying to figure out what type of support they actually need. And DM me on Instagram @thesocialbutterflygal. Tell me your biggest reframe, your biggest breakthrough from today's conversation, and what kind of support you need in this season, and what version of you is asking for it. And if you're feeling the call to go deeper, to recalibrate your personal brand, leadership, and your visibility, I would love to support you through one-on-one coaching. You can find the coaching information and offers in the links in the show notes below, or send me a DM on Instagram with the word coaching, and I'll personally walk you through what offers are in alignment with your current season and what it looks like to step into this next era with clarity, confidence, and unapologetic authority. Thank you for being here, and thank you for listening and for all the shares and reviews. Remember this, you didn't come this far to play safe. You came to be unapologetically visible. I'll see you next week.